The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Want to shake up your small business marketing? I mean, really shake it up.
Studio 21 Podcast Café.
Have you been thinking about doing your own podcast?
Studio 21 Podcast Café.
Would you like to take your business to the next level?
Studio 21 Podcast Café.
This is the golden age of podcasting, and it's time to stop thinking and start doing.
Studio 21 Podcast Café.
Get your message heard 24/7, 365 over and over again.
Studio 21 Podcast Café.
Welcome to the 21st century.
Welcome to the Studio 21 Podcast Café.
Here's the creator and host of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, David Garofalo.
Welcome everybody to the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is a 21-minute or less weekly podcast to help you get your message out, grow your business, and build your bottom line. Let me help you bring your marketing and advertising into the 21st century. My name is David Garofalo. I've been doing podcasting since 2010 and created a six-figure income from doing so. This is a 21-minute or less podcast, so let's start the clock. And here we go. Today, I'm going to eat some snacks for a living. That's it. I'm going to eat snacks for a living. This could be my only job, eating snacks. It could be your job. I want you to follow along because we're creating a new podcast, the do-over that we talked about, the new attempt to do something after a previous attempt has been unsatisfactorily done in my case. In my case, I have a very successful podcast. I told you, a six-figure income from doing the podcast. It's called The Cigar Authority. It's downloaded 2 million times this year. I've monetized it deep into the six-figure income, created reoccurring revenue to $250,000 from the podcast. Additionally, and despite all that success, I've made mistakes. It's too long. I can't change it. It requires too much prep to do every show, and now I can't change it. I've been doing it for 9 years. I can do a whole new podcast, though, and maybe create lightning in a bottle again. And I'm putting it all out there in front of you, in front of your ears. Am I a one-hit wonder, or can I do it again? Am I the real deal? I decided the podcast is going to be The Snack Authority, a 25-minute podcast about snacks. Can I eat snacks for a living? I showed you the logo last week. You saw it. I think it's catchy. I think I can monetize that logo into things that we can sell also. We'll see. Did you remember to go onto YouTube and see it? Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. The date is July 10th, 2018. Is the date of that podcast. It's called Next Steps into Launching a New Podcast. Go about 3 minutes in, and there's where the logo showed up. We did the hokey intro. I let you hear that last week. I think it's good. We can always change it, though, depending on the direction of the show. We don't know what the direction of the show is. We haven't even done it. We were careful to use royalty-free music. We handpicked our co-hosts, who they're going to be. One, our producer right beside me. He's the co-host, Ed Sullivan. Also, we have Mikey. He likes everything. Remember that? What was that? Mikey, he likes everything.
Life cereal.
Life cereal.
Let's get Mikey.
That's right. He likes everything. So we got Mikey. He's a very underweight, 40-year-old. He eats all kinds of snacks. He doesn't gain any weight. It really pisses me off because I'm an overweight, older guy. He's younger than me, and he can eat all he wants, and it doesn't get it back. So it pisses me off. But anyway, I digress. We have Jess, the female who loves snacks too, and it's important. Let's have a female on there. She's 30. So we got the age brackets, and everything's different. Actually, you know Jess already. You know her voice. It's in the intro of this show. And at the break, you'll hear her voice again. This is the one that intros the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. And when we go to break and that 1 minute thing happens, that's her too. So now you already know her voice. Maybe you're going to be comfortable with it. We're all different ages. We're different weights. We're different heights. But it might be interesting. And then again, it might not be. We're going to see, because again, I'm doing this for the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe to show you how easy and simple and laid out this is to do your own podcast. The people that say, oh my God, I wouldn't know where to start, we're showing you from start to finish, and we're putting up podcasts we never did before. And at the end of it, if I make a fortune doing it, hey, that's the extra bonus that happens. But if I fall flat in my face and this thing goes nowhere, I did it in front of you, and I showed that I don't know what I'm talking about. So it's a risk. It's a risk I'm willing to take. We're going to see how it goes. Because podcasting can be a business, I will treat it as such. I need to understand the back end and how I can possibly monetize it. This is the golden age of podcasting. I believe that. I believe it's very, very important time in the podcasting world. This is the time you want to get in. If you've been thinking about it, kicking it around, listening to podcasts and saying, someday I should do it myself, now's the time, whether you do it here at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe or you do it yourself, now's the time to do it. This is the golden age. Don't miss the opportunity, because there's never been something like this before. I got a radio show and a TV show, basically, a podcast and a vodcast, something that would cost millions of dollars to produce, and I can do it here for next to nothing. It's out there. You can improve your existing business, or you can build a business on its own. It's podcasting. Listen, take the opportunity. You're thinking about it. Now's the time to do it. We're showing you how simple it really is. And I'm going to create a win-win-win situation at the same time. For the listener, you, if you end up being a listener to the Snack Authority, it's going to be a win for you. You'll see. For the advertiser, if and when we get an advertiser for the show, everybody who listens to our show is going to love snacks and going to be interested in the snack we're talking about. So if they advertise on the show, it's going to be a win for them. They're going to make a lot of money advertising with our show. And there's two types of ads out there, the ones that work and the ones that don't. A podcast ad works, and we'll explain that to the person who wants to advertise to it and make it work for them. And then the last win is me. You got to keep me motivated. I want to do this. It needs to be successful. We need lots of listeners. It makes me feel good. And then I need to monetize it, because listen, I don't hit home runs or shoot basketballs and know what my score is. Or, I have no idea what that is. The only way for me to know how good I'm doing is money. It's just a way to measure my success. So I want it to be a win-win-win, and that win includes me too. So I need a concept. We came up with it. It's going to be a snack. I'm not in the snack business, but I will be some way, somehow, because I'm doing a show called The Snack Authority. I tried staying local. I contacted the local candy shop, and they did not see the opportunity, apparently, because they didn't come back. They said they were going to come back and see me after and basically brush me off, and that's okay. People come in to see me all the time and offer me opportunities that I turn off. I'm thinking that they don't understand it, because it is an unbelievable opportunity, but they didn't understand it, and that's okay, because it is new to a lot of people, podcasting. They don't understand it, but you do. You're listening to Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. You realize the opportunity that somebody would have if they got in bed, if you were selling candy and snacks and you were on the Snack Authority. It would be a great opportunity. That's what you would want to be, right? As opposed to the little magazine or the local newspaper. The Snack Authority, everybody interested in snacks would be listening to the Snack Authority. You'd bat 1,000. So I didn't hear back from him. So does that mean, okay, let's put our heads down and say, okay, we struck out. What are we going to do now? Let's come up with something. No. We moved on to a C-store supplier, a supplier for the convenience stores in snacks and things like that. So we reached out to him last week. How can this work for him, his company, and for me? Again, we have to create a win-win situation with him. What can we do? We need to sit down, we need to talk to him, and then move forward. So what do we talk about? How can we move forward? That and the date of the new Snack Authority, the first show, we're going to tell you the date it's going to be on in less than 1 minute. Stick around.
If you're in the area of Boston North into Southern New Hampshire and you're thinking about doing a podcast, there is a place you have to see. It's called Studio 21 Podcast Café. Located right over the border into Salem, New Hampshire, Studio 21 Podcast Café is a live, working, full-service podcast and vodcast, that's video on demand, studio. All professional equipment, professional producer, and total distribution of your podcast is done for you. Would you like search engine optimization for more people to find your business or better ranking on Google? Well, Studio 21 Podcast Cafe can do it all for you for far less than you think. Schedule a free 21-minute no-obligation consultation by going to www.studio21podcast.cafe. That's studio21podcast.cafe. Now, back to the program.
And we are back, and today we're talking about I'm going to eat snacks for a living. That's what I'm going to do. I was built for this. I was born for this. I think I got it. Yes, unlike a lot of podcasters out there, both starting out and even the pros that have been doing great shows for years and years, most of them don't have any plans for financial success. The Snack Authority podcast, on the other hand, is being built on financial success, monetization. That's why we're putting it together. Creating wealth, financial success, making money. It's not a bad thing, despite what some people think out there. Making money is terrible. I certainly don't believe that. I've heard some people actually say it. What, you're going to do this for money? Yeah. Don't ever be ashamed of making money. I don't have to make money, but wouldn't it be better if I did? Wouldn't it be fun if I made a living doing it? Wouldn't it be something if I really ate snacks for a living? I think it'd be great.
It'd be awesome.
It'd be awesome. So I'm going to attempt that, right? I'm shooting for the moon here, folks. Let's at least try. Making money doesn't mean taking anything away from anybody, not taking anything away from the listener, giving them valuable information, and entertaining them. How about a little something for my troubles? Making me a little money, helping me create the six-figure income from that podcast. There's nothing wrong with it. Let's see if I can do it. I will provide the great entertainment the best I can. I will provide information, and I'm going to put a little business together at the same time. I did it before. The question is, can I do it again? Right in front of your ears. Well, let's see. What is the worst that can happen? No financial success? Most people go into podcasting with that in mind. I've heard it. I've heard professional podcasters say it, that please don't go into podcasting with financial in mind. Why not? Why would you go in thinking that you can't do it? No. You're going in with the intention to hopefully turn it into a business. I am anyway. I'm not like most people. Let's try right from the start to make it successful, and let's build it around the possibility of success. If you build it around with it has no chance of doing it, maybe you'll accomplish that goal. It won't be successful. I'm going to shoot to try to make it successful, both listening and for the advertiser and for myself financially. I'm going to try. So I called a candy and snack distributor to set up a meeting. And guess what? That didn't happen either. They had to reschedule it. This stuff takes most people down. I got turned down, or basically they didn't show up, which is the local candy company. Then I went to the candy distributor, and things happen, life happens, or whatever. They couldn't make it. They had to reschedule. Hopefully that's the reason, or they're interested at all. But they said they couldn't make it, and we rescheduled and made a different time. Did it take me down? Yeah. I wanted to do the pitch. I wanted to explain it to them and see what they had to say, but I'm moving forward. If that meeting happens, great. We'll see. But there's an old saying, the show must go on, which is a phrase in show business, meaning that regardless of what happens, whatever show has been planned still has to be staged for the waiting patrons. So I'm telling you, we're doing the show. the Snack Authority is going to happen. Whether somebody comes in and deals with it or not, the show must go on. It doesn't have to go on. It doesn't need to go forward because, frankly, it isn't even been launched yet. I could pull back, but I'm not going to. I did this in front of you. So not that I was hoping things like this was going to happen, but I want you to see as these things happen, how we overcome it and go over the hurdle of what has happened. So we move forward. While I'm talking about business, let me add this. Minimize the impact anyone or anything can have on your future earnings or happiness. So I can't make it so that I was dependent on them anyway. Whether they get in or they get out, it's positive if they did. If they didn't, that's okay too. I cannot be solely independently have them be able to impact the success of the show. Then it's their show. So the show must go on, and without them, I will move on. If they end up coming on and it's part of it, great. If it doesn't, we'll figure out a way around that. Don't let somebody canceling a meeting or not even taking you up on an opportunity, which is what I was going to project to them, an opportunity, stop me from achieving the outcome, which is what I'm trying to do. It won't. Don't let it be an excuse for you either. If this happens to you, there's a bump in the road, don't let that be the excuse of not doing the podcast or not doing that episode. There is no excuse. The show must go on. Do the show. You never know. It might even be actually better. You're going to learn something as it's going on. It can't be that they didn't show up for the meeting, so the show is postponed. No way am I going to let that happen. The show must go on. The truth is, the show is your show, and it doesn't have to be, but if you want to be successful, treat it like the business that we're trying to start. We're trying to start a business and make it happen. No, it won't be perfect. As I envisioned it starting, it will not be the same. But it will grow and it will improve and it will evolve into what I was hoping for. Hopefully. Again, I'm doing this in front of your ears. We'll see. So when will it start? Episode 1 of the Snack Authority will take place live in front of a live studio audience right here at the Studio 21 Podcast Café on Saturday, July 28, 2018 at 10 a.m. and every Saturday after that. So that's it. I said it out loud. That's it. Now I'm stuck, right? It's planned. It's calculated. We're going to do it. And if I can't make it for some odd reason, I have other people already set up because we have a panel of 4 people. This show is going to happen every single Saturday, no matter what, at 10 a.m., live from the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. If something happens to my producer, who's part of the show,
you get a new one.
We get another producer. You couldn't make it this week, so somebody jumps in or something. Because, frankly, it's not going to take, like in the Cigar Authority, for instance, you either smoke cigars or you don't. You either know about premium cigars or you don't. I could probably get anybody off the street, frankly, Ed.
To talk about snacks.
Right. I think anybody can pull it off.
Sure.
And if somebody's leading the way, I think we can end up making that happen. So this is going to be the interesting thing about it. Anybody can be the Snack Authority, but it's going to be me. It will air live on YouTube, that first show. So find the Snack Authority on YouTube. Episode 1 will be posted immediately without editing and on Podbean, Podbean. About 48 hours later, it will show up on iTunes because it takes that long for the first episode. After the first episode, it goes on immediately following the show, recording after recording. So that won't be an issue. But the first one, if you want to catch it live, you're going to have to go to YouTube. And then immediately following the show after, you go to Podbean, and then you'll be able to hear that show live. After that, iTunes and all the podcast catches will go from there at that point. You've been through this with me, the planning, and now it's showtime. Ed Sullivan, the producer of the podcast, will be the producer of the Snack Authority. And he will decide the episode of what we're going to eat, what we're going to do on there. So what's it going to be, Ed Sullivan?
So I think, the opportunities on this are limitless.
Limitless.
And we had a big discussion on it, and we're going to start at the beginning with the first snack, We're going with the peanut.
The peanut, the first snack ever, was the peanut.
And we're not going to, go in order for snacks forever.
No.
But we're going to lay a little historical foundation, and then the show's going to go in the direction it needs to go.
Which is, we don't know.
We don't know, but, you could envision a show of everybody's favorite snack, for example.
There we go.
I mean, there's so many opportunities for content.
All right, so that's the first show. It will be the peanut. So imagine we're doing a podcast. We're going to eat a peanut. That's the show. That's the podcast. We're going to eat a peanut. That's how easy this is, folks. You're wondering when and how you're going to do your podcast. We're going to eat a peanut. That's the show. That's it. Seinfeld thought they had it. Oh, no. This is bigger than that. We're going to eat a peanut. That's the show. We're going to share with you how many people listen, how many people watched, how many people follow, and we're going to build a listenership up in front of your eyes. We're pulling the curtain, folks, back. We're going to show everything. I will continue to work on that meeting with the distributor, but the show will go on regardless. Don't let anything stop you. We will approach advertisers. We'll create segments for them. We'll start to monetize the show in ads and recurring revenue. Boy, I hope this works. Do you have a plan? I do. You need help on your plan? I'd love to work with you. I can help. Contact me at dave@studio21podcast.cafe. That's dave@studio, the number 21 podcast.cafe. Schedule a free 21-minute meeting with me. Let me show you the studio here, and let's talk about your thoughts and plans, and I'll even buy you the coffee. Next week, we'll go over the show notes just a couple of days before airing the first Snack Authority. We'll update you on any meetings and last-minute decisions we made and why we made them right in front of your ears. That's my 21 minutes or less, and we are out of here. You've been listening to the Studio 21 Podcast Café on the United Podcast Network.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.